Welcome to the exciting rebirth of Superstar, featuring choose your membership rate as low as just $3 a month. At Superstar, you get expanded, exclusive videoscopes each and every week, unlimited access to special horoscopes, class passes for Synchronicity University, consultations with me, and so much more. All of this in the Superstar space. I look forward to meeting you there. Hello, fabulous friends, fans, and superstars. Welcome to your horoscope for the week of September 26, 2021. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. It is a remarkable astrological week, without a doubt. Big moves happening in the sky now. Now, before I jump into this week, which is big in and of itself, on Monday, Mercury is going to go retrograde, so lots to talk about there. Before I jump in, though, I want to put this week into context. We have a big astrological month right around the corner, starting this week, actually. In October, fully, 4 planets are going to go direct. 2 of the bigger planets are going to go direct next week. And it is going to be early next week that Pluto is going to go direct. And at the end of next week, Saturn is going to go direct. So we've got these massive shifts coming up. Pluto and Saturn both are standing still in the sky with a week like this. And so even though I will dive into the direct motion of Pluto and Saturn next week and the week after, we are going to have Jupiter and Mercury go direct. Both of these planets going direct at the same time, right in the middle of the month. So we've got these very big energies to look forward to. It is this week that in many ways we may feel the energy of Pluto and of Saturn percolating. These very strong core energies that represent difficult truths, that represent transformation in their own right, are going to feel especially strong. And all of us may feel as if there is a breakthrough on the horizon. And there certainly is. Next week is a big week for very powerful breakthroughs to take place. But it is now, and it is a week like this where we are likely to be feeling some frustration. And even that has its wisdom. Even that has its purpose. And part of the wisdom and purpose of this time may be to help us to understand through our frustration where it is that change must take place, where it is that we may be ready for change to take place, where it is that we may be ready to start accepting and looking at some difficult truths. All of us are going to be feeling this in one way or another, and in different areas of life as well. Now, this energy is going to be magnified this week for the ways in which personal planets are speaking to Saturn and to Pluto. And it is these particular connections that are going to help us to tap into some of these stationary energies standing still in the sky just before they go direct, to understand what the deeper lesson may mean for us. And so Pluto transforms us by helping us to dig very deep, to get to the essence, to get to some essential truth, and to accept it even when it's hard. Saturn helps us to transform by helping us to accept what really is, accept reality, life on life's terms, by helping us to embrace what it is that we have manifested for the lesson that may be there, but also to understand that it is through behaviors that we fortify self-respect. To understand that certain things, certain gratifications are higher, and certain things are worth sacrificing for. Certain things are worth waiting for, putting in the time, putting in the effort for, and to be honest with ourselves about what that is and what that isn't. And so, again, all of us in different areas of life are going to find ourselves those difficult truths, those digging deep within, understanding what's authentically there, no longer kidding ourselves, but also understanding the value of looking at what we've manifested and knowing that we can put in effort and move towards something more, move towards something better. And so these lessons, this frustration is sort of hanging in the air this week. So now let's look at what's happening with the personal planets, how they are helping us to be aware of these very big core energies, these very big transitions that are right around the corner with these big planets changing direction, officially changing direction next week. When it is that a planet is gearing up for slowing down, standing still in the sky, it is at the height of its power. It is closer to the Earth than it may otherwise be. That heightens its symbolism. It also heightens how much we feel it, how close it is. But it is the personal planets that help us to make sense of these big energies. And so personal planets are, well, look, if you're looking at your chart, you're going to include the moon, the sun, Mercury, Venus, and Mars as well is considered a personal planet. And so what do we have this week? Well, look, we've got on Monday, Mercury officially going retrograde in the sign of Libra. All of us, in at least one way or another, are considering and contemplating our connections and our relationships. Consider this as well. I do think that we are inherently social in many ways. I was watching a theorist, and I forget his name, and I apologize for that, but he was on TV, and he's been on TV a few times. He's been on Netflix as well. He looks at ethical technology, and he talks a lot about social media. And he was saying how when it is, and human beings have evolved to pick up on nonverbal cues, when we have to look at another person, there is this sense of empathy that we can feel based on some of their reactions that may not necessarily be overt or may not necessarily be verbal. But our natural inclination towards empathy, our natural inclination towards wanting to connect with others means that we are going to pick up on some of this stuff. We're going to pick up on how it is that what we are communicating is affecting others, and that we do, for almost the most part, right? For almost the entirety of humanity today, and certainly historically, most of us, the overwhelming majority of us, have a desire not to hurt other people in any way. But what happens is when we are isolated from each other, we give into more extreme patterns that we see in addiction. And so it is through addiction that we get these hyper hits of dopamine. And when we are with people and we're talking to people, we get a lower hit of dopamine. So when we no longer have those lower hits, we're seeking those higher, more concentrated versions. And how do we find that, especially in our times today where more and more of us are living more and more of our lives online, where in many ways, sometimes our entire human interaction over a given day, over a given week, especially in 2020 and 2021, may be entirely online. Well, we may seek out or find ourselves in these extreme exchanges with other people where we are wanting that heightened hit of dopamine, because that ends up fueling us because we are not getting those more subtle hits that we were before. Now, even though it escapes me right now, I will make sure to find and link to the person below that I am speaking of. I will be sure to find him online so that you can see that clip and that interview for yourself. But I found it really powerful because it affirmed to me how inherently social we are as human beings, that we have a need for meaningful connections with others. Intimacy is healing. Knowing that we are seen by another person, that we are understood, that we are known for whom it is that we really are, is profoundly healing to find that level of acceptance. And I do think that this Mercury retrograde taking place in the sign of Libra is going to help us to understand and explore these very themes, to help us to understand and explore how it is that now we can start moving towards those more meaningful human interactions. Where is it that perhaps it has felt that we have not been engaging in meaningful human interactions, and how can we start moving towards them? I also think that it is going to be this Mercury retrograde season that is going to invite us to want to understand and to be understood by each other and by another in particular. And so we see this theme play out in powerful ways with a week like this. Remember, with Mercury retrograde, one of the key characteristics of this Mercury retrograde season is the way in which Mercury is going to be having precise conversations with Pluto and with Jupiter. We're going to get a total of 3 connections for each of these planets between Mercury and Pluto, Mercury and Jupiter. So we had the first meetings, right? The first meeting of Mercury and Pluto and Mercury and Jupiter last week. It is this week that the second exact connections begin. It is on Friday that Mercury will connect with Pluto with precision, and next week that Mercury connects with Jupiter with precision. But these energies are so slow moving at this point that it's almost as if these energies are constant. They are free floating, they are continuous last week, this week, and into next week as well. But it is that Mercury and Pluto energy late in the week that is especially intriguing to me. Almost simultaneously, perfecting the next day, Venus will speak in harmony with Pluto. And so here we see how the mind, how communication can get tense, can get frustrating. It is the energy of Pluto that is sometimes associated with obsession or compulsion or even addiction as well, although Neptune is also associated with addictions. It is Neptune that is associated with addictions that are the escapist variety, and activities and substances that are the escapist varieties. We've got some Neptune this week to talk about as well. But it is the energy of Pluto that is that very intense, alluring, obsessive type of addictive quality that we see. And so we may see some of that awaken for some of us out there, especially with Mercury and with Pluto. It's been percolating, right? It's been percolating since last week especially. But we start to become more aware of it with a week like this, not only because it's the second connection between Mercury and Pluto, but because simultaneously we've also got Venus in harmony with Pluto. We're being encouraged to bring love, being encouraged to add love to the mix, to look deeply at the root and find love there, to dig deep within ourselves and summon love for ourselves and for each other. To be willing to see behind the masks and see the layers of complexity that are within us all. It is Venus right now moving through the sign of Scorpio. That's the digging deep energy. And Pluto, of course, is the modern ruling planet of Scorpio. So there are these powerful alignments taking place that are personalizing these big collective energies of Pluto in this case. But we've also got Saturn activated this week as well. It is going to be right smack dab in the middle of the week on Wednesday that the Sun is going to speak in supreme harmony with Saturn. Now, I love this energy, I have to say. To me, this energy represents self-respect, behaving from a place of self-respect. It is Saturn that is in the sign of Aquarius. It is a sign that also has to do with other people. It has to do with our larger connections to other people, the acquaintances in our lives, and yes, the friendships as well. Even those light moments that seem superficial on the surface have the potential to embody love. Now, I realized this a few years back, actually. It was a more recent lesson for me. Because just like everybody out there, I'm continuing to learn, I'm continuing to trudge along my journey towards greater love and greater wisdom, like all of us out there. And I remember it was during my trip to Thailand, and I had this appreciation in 2017. And it was that we all want love, and there is so much love. There is so much love in the world, and there's so much of all kinds of love in the world. And that any moment, any exchange, any honesty, any thought, any care, any kindness is an opportunity for connection, is an opportunity for love itself. That if there is the willingness to love, there's an abundance of love available to us. And that simply having the intention is enough. It is enough to know love. Now, I would also add, and I want to bring this in as well, very often we see the meme going around in one form or another that says something like, you have to love yourself in order to love another person. And I think that is, it deserves more nuance than it appears on the surface, that's for sure. Because there are times when we have a loving exchange with another person, and in that moment we realize that, hey, we deserve love, maybe more love than we thought we did. Sometimes we attract people into our lives who love us as we are, even if we can't love ourselves. And that is part of an affirmation that we deserve love. Now, it is another thing when your inability to love yourself means you will not allow yourself to accept the love of another. That can happen. But if there is the willingness, the sheer simple willingness for genuine human connection, or doesn't even have to be human, really, there's so much love if we open ourselves to it in so many forms, in so many ways. But the willingness to love, even if we don't know if we have it for ourselves, it allows love in. It affirms love in very powerful ways. And so I do think the transformative power of love in one way or another may show itself to us as well with a week like this. And so part of that may very well be the inner self-respect, the inner stability we find when we accept connections with others. That is the Sun trine Saturn that we see in the middle of the week. The other very powerful part of this week, the transformative power of love, that's Venus sextile Pluto at the end of the week. But what we have happening in the middle of the week, right around this Sun trine Saturn energy, this grown-up energy, that is social, that asks us, what do we owe each other? But also, what practical gains do we make by staying connected to each other, by considering each other? Well, there is, right under the same sky, on Wednesday, Venus speaking in supreme harmony with Neptune before going on Thursday to connect with Jupiter in a conversation of tension. And the universe is perfect. There is this intricate dance that is constantly playing out. And the fact that these different celestial alignments are happening almost simultaneously, I feel is actually part of a perfection that is playing out now. Because just Venus trine Neptune, that energy can be very dreamy. That energy can be very disconnected. It can get very caught up in emotion. Now, that can be beautiful as well. Certainly, it can be swept up in a moment, believing in love, the high that love can be, the high of pleasure, the high of a dopamine hit, right? But that can get carried away. It can go to extremes. But because simultaneously we are having the Sun trine Saturn, and Saturn is so strong in the sky, approaching stationary, approaching standing still, preparing to go direct at the end of next week. Because we have that energy, that's going to keep us grounded, to make sure that we don't lose ourselves, that we can be open to inspiration, that we can be plugged into source, but not feel as if we are floating away, that we no longer know who we are. But the energy of Venus and Jupiter, given that it is a square, a conversation of tension, can also work to our advantage as well. Now, on the one hand, we may have to be careful with this because it can be overdoing it, overshooting the mark, especially in matters of love or passion even. But this energy and squares in general keep us honest. They keep us motivated to move towards better. And where it is that we may need that, we may need to recognize that everything isn't so perfect as it looks with Venus trine Neptune. Well, then we're also motivated to do the work that change requires. Sometimes that work is just self-reflection. Sometimes that work is having a conversation with somebody else. Sometimes that work is sitting with yourself, being honest with yourself, even when it's hard. But that work is part of what does keep us grounded, keeps us moving forward. And so we've got this very powerful sky midweek. These big energies, we're being asked to connect with them more personally as the personal planets, the inner planets, connect with these very powerful outer planets. What I love about this week for us, well, it is a powerful sky, I have to say. Mercury going retrograde, I've been contemplating the symbolism of Mercury retrograde for the last few days. And I think that this gives us an opportunity to reflect. Mercury retrograde is part of the wisdom of the universe, right? We're going to experience Mercury retrograde 3 or 4 times a year. And every time we sort of shake our fist to the sky. I've done that quite a few times, if I'm being very honest about that, because some Mercury retrogrades are more a doozy than others. Some are more intense than others. Certainly with the Pluto square happening this week, there is intensity there. But Mercury retrograde, in its confusion, invites us to get honest as well. Get honest about what's really going on within us, what our true motivations are, our true thought processes are. Invites us to consider more deeply, reflect more deeply on the messages that we're getting, what other people mean when they say something, what did that conversation mean, what it is that we feel. In all of these ways, we get a chance to reflect more deeply on what has been, and if we're partaking in something new, what we think we want in a given moment. But then Mercury goes direct, and that has its spiritual purpose in and of itself. It invites us to look again with different eyes. It invites us to get honest with ourselves in a different way, in light of new information. And it also invites us to know that we are allowed to change our minds, to change our opinions, to make a different choice when we know more or when we know better. In general, when a planet goes retrograde, karmic events associated with its symbolism become that much more heightened. And especially when a planet is changing directions, its symbolism is magnified. Mercury is a symbol of mind, of understanding, of connection, of communication, of agreements as well. And Mercury changing directions now at the height of its power, while stationary, hanging tight a conversation with a stationary Pluto, well, that suggests that all of us in one way or another are being invited to dig very deep within us to get to the truth of Libran matters, the truth of the connections we've had with each other, the relationships we've had, the partnerships we've had, the love that we've shared with others, to get more deeply honest with ourselves as to what dynamics played out, what worked and what didn't, how we felt about it, to get honest with ourselves about where it is that we are being overly nostalgic, because that nostalgia is going to be strong this week with Venus trine Neptune. Now, nostalgia is defined as seeing the past with rose-colored glasses, seeing the past idealistically. But the truth is that whatever the past was, we made the best choices in that moment. We were true to ourselves in that moment, even if we think we would make a different decision today. But to think that the past is any better than the present Well, that ultimately is a position of disempowering ourselves. There's a lot more power in looking at where you are right now and making the best of it. It is a powerful and meaningful astrological time. It is inviting us to take something that feels ideal, that fills us with a sense of magic and of mystery and of mysticism, and make it count for something. Whether that making it count means that we embody it, that we live it through ourselves, through our actions, or whether making it count means that we manifest from that inspired place. Either way is good. Either way is honoring the moment. It is honoring today. And when it is that we're willing to live in the moment, we're willing to live in the day, we set ourselves up that much more for a truly bright future ahead. Well, thank you so much for watching. What do you love about this week? Let me know in the comments below. I love reading you guys. And to prove it to you, here are some of my most recent favorite comments. Thank you to everybody who likes, who comments, who subscribes, who shares, who thumbs up. All of it means so much. Thank you so much for your trust. And of course, if you want to know how all these celestial conversations speak to you in your sign for this week, now you can join NadiyaShahSuperstars.com for as low as just $3 a month with choose your membership rate. So that's just $3 a month to get expanded, exclusive video scopes for each and every sign, each and every week for just $3 a month. Higher tiers get you things like all access passes to Synchronicity University classes, future classes, and current classes, and also get you consultations with me and so much more. All of this in the Superstar space at NadiyaShahSuperstars.com. Link is in the description below. I look forward to meeting you there. Synchronicity University has incredible classes starting right around the corner, and choose your tuition rate for just a few days longer. So check out Rachel Schwartz, Kabbalah Astrology, the 5-week course for as low as just $5 a class. This is an unheard of rate to learn from one of the superstars of Kabbalah astrology today. Now, I absolutely love Rachel. You've seen her on my channel as well. She's just brilliant and so full of wisdom and of love and of care and of knowledge. She really is the perfect person to be teaching a Kabbalah astrology course. So it is a 5-week course, 5-part course that you will be learning from her. And it is as low as just $5 a class until the end of September, which takes place this week. So we've got just a few more days left to choose your tuition rate, as low as just $5 a class at synchronicityuniversity.com. Link to Rachel's class is in the description below. Synchronicity University autumn session back to school is starting this coming weekend. Classes with me. Now we have got incredible classes on offer, and know that we are still just for a few days longer as low as just $5 a class at synchronicityuniversity.com. This is the back to school autumn session that is at this very low rate of just $5 a class. So I'm going to be teaching some amazing classes over the course of this autumn season. How to write horoscopes. Even if you don't really think about it, you might just be curious, what are the techniques? I'm going to teach you practical techniques to writing or presenting in video or podcast form horoscopes, and what techniques are utilized by those of us who do horoscopes. I will be doing a bunch of classes on the midheaven, on the 10th house, on legacy and destiny. There are classes on the 5th house of love and windfalls and luck. We've got classes on the 9th, on the 3rd. We've got Pallas Athena, the asteroid, very popular, very requested class that we will be having, going through the signs and houses that your Pallas Athena is in. And we'll be looking at power couples. That's something I'm really excited about. These are power couples chosen by a lot of you out there, by students of Synchronicity University, saying that they wanted to understand these relationship dynamics more deeply. So we'll be looking at some famous power couples and what some celestial characteristics are as part of exploring some very powerful and influential bonds. And so all of these classes right now are as low as just $5 a class for just a few more days. Choose your tuition rate is until September 30th, which is happening this week. So log on to synchronicityuniversity.com. Join me for the back to school autumn session. Link is in the description below. And brand new classes just announced for Synchronicity University. We've got an incredible November coming up as well. And right now, these classes are choose your tuition rate. So we are going to have the one and only world-renowned tarot author, Melissa Sinova. I cannot believe I'm going to have this amazing woman, this brilliant mind, teaching at Synchronicity University for as low as just $5 a class. Melissa Sinova is going to be teaching a 5-part class starting in November. And right now it is choose your tuition rate as low as just $5 a class. She's going to help us to understand the tarot, every single card. She's going to go through the major arcana, the minor arcana, the suits, understanding the court cards, and so much more. And so you can get a very thorough course description by clicking on the link in the description below. And remember, the very famous Choose Your Tuition Rate, that is a feature of Synchronicity University, is on now for Melissa Sinova's class. And I look forward to meeting you there. I'm really excited about learning from her. It really is such a treat. And the November speaker series has just been announced right now and until the end of October. It is Choose Your Tuition Rate as low as just $5 a class to truly hear world-renowned speakers and astrology teachers that I'm so excited to present to you. So we have April Elliott Kent. She is one of these people that I looked up to when I was coming up as an astrologer. I looked at her and I thought, wow, she's like so accomplished. She's so brilliant. And now she's going to be teaching at my school, which is very exciting to me. We've got Rachel Lang. She's got a brand new book, world-renowned astrologer as well, widely respected. Nico, son of Celine. Now, Nico is a YouTube star, so it's very exciting to get Nico to present in my school, on my channel. All of that is going to be very exciting. We have got Nicole Garceau. Now, Nicole is brilliant. She's a rising star in astrology. So really looking forward to having her present. And Louise Edgington of Cosmic Owl will be joining us as well. So check out some of their amazing topics that they will be teaching. Everything from financial astrology, understanding the chart with greater depth, with greater wisdom, looking at development, and so much more. So we've got this wonderful bunch of astrologers bringing their own perspectives to really help us to understand the astrological chart with greater depth, and world-renowned speakers at that. What a treat, what a privilege. So Choose Your Tuition Rate is on right now till the end of October for the November speaker series at Synchronicity University. Learn more and sign up. Link is in the description below. And finally, you can get my take on your unique birth chart by checking out my partnership with Cosmogram. At Cosmogram, you enter in your birth data, and within hours, you will be sent a PDF of your chart along with my explanations of the different planetary placements you have there. If you go onto the Cosmogram page, what you also can have is that you get to see a sample report. And with that sample report, you will know exactly what it is that you can expect, exactly what it is that you are going to get for yourself. So check out my partnership with Cosmogram. Link is in the description below. And thank you. Thank you so much for being here. You may notice I'm in a different environment. You must have seen this last week as well. I'm now at my parents' house in Canada. I am wearing my mother's clothes as well. So this is very exciting because these are not clothes that I'm going to take back to Mexico with me. So I'm wearing her clothes and I'm having fun playing dress up in her closet, just like I did when I was a little girl. Isn't that fun? And isn't that exciting? Now, I wanted to ask you guys as well, I'm using a different camera today. So what do you think? Do you see any difference? Does it seem better or not? Do let me know in the comments below, because that will determine if I go back to the camera I was using or stick with this camera going forward from here. So you can let me know in the comments below. And again, thank you so much. Thank you for your trust. Thank you for your love. Thank you for seeing me as part of your journey. Whether you are a student or a superstar or a friend or a fan or a viewer or more than one or all of the above, each and every one of you, I'm truly so grateful to be some part of your spiritual journey. Thank you. And thank you again for watching. It'll be a great week. Enjoy.